Tantor Audio, a division of Recorded Books, presents The Enneagram for Relationships. Transform your connections with friends, family, colleagues, and in love. By Ashton Whitmoyer-Ober, M.A. Narrated by Tina Wolstencroft. Publisher's Note: this audiobook includes bonus material. Please visit Tantor.com and type The Enneagram for Relationships into the search box. Follow the link to the book's page. Then, under the Supplemental Content section, please enter the access code LIFE, and then click the Unlock button to access the bonus material. The code should be entered in all lowercase letters. Sample Enneagrams and references referenced in this audiobook can be found in the bonus material. Introduction. Hi there, I'm Ashton, also known as Enneagram Ashton on Instagram. Thank you for joining me on this journey to learning and growing our relationships through the Enneagram. I've always been interested in personality tests. I remember asking my mom to take me to Barnes & Noble as a kid so I could browse the psychology section and pick out personality tests. That curiosity led me to later earn my bachelor's degree in psychology and my master's degree in community psychology and social change. I guess you could say that I've always been interested in how people and communities can strengthen, grow, and relate to one another, which led me to the Enneagram. Before I became trained on the Enneagram, I kept hearing people talk about it. It's similar to Myers-Briggs, and it's a personality test. But I learned right away that it isn't actually a personality test. Myers-Briggs tells us who we are. The Enneagram tells us the motivations behind what we do. 3 people at a social event could all be in a corner avoiding eye contact, but their motivations for standing in the corner could all be different. I decided that I absolutely needed to become an Enneagram coach, so I sought training and studied with Beth McCord of YourEnneagramCoach.com. I created an Instagram account to share my journey, and it turns out that a lot of people wanted to follow along. Most important, I have learned so much about myself and how I interact with colleagues, friends, romantic partners, family members, and even random people I pass on the street. Author and Enneagram master teacher Ian Morgan Cron said, "The Enneagram doesn't put you in a box. It shows you the box you're already in and how to get out of it. The Enneagram is more than just a typing tool. It's a way to experience self-growth and understanding." Once I learned that I was a 2, the helper, everything around me clicked. My personal and professional relationships, how I react in certain situations, why I made certain decisions. It also wasn't just important for me to identify these motivations for my own development. I was able to better communicate to others how to best interact with me as a 2 and how to love and support me. I want you to experience that as well. This book is a tool for you to strengthen the ways in which you interact with other people. It will teach you new ways to understand how you can be in healthy relationships with each Enneagram type. We will start with background information and the historical roots of the Enneagram. Then, prepare yourself to receive a wealth of information as we dive deep into each Enneagram type. Specifically, I'll be covering work relationships, friendships, romantic relationships, and familial relationships. Of course, there will also be background information on the strengths and weaknesses, childhood tendencies, and other characteristics of each of the 9 types to give you a better understanding of the motivations behind each one. Although the Enneagram can be an informative way to explore your personality and how you function with the people in your life, neither it nor this book is a crystal ball or a cure-all. I fully believe that understanding the Enneagram can help strengthen our relationships. However, if you are experiencing chronic stress, feeling down, or are involved in a stressful, unfulfilling, abusive, or unhealthy relationship, there are resources that can help you. There is no shame in asking for support, and I encourage you to seek out professional help. I'm sure that you're tempted to skip ahead and listen to the chapter that relates to your type or maybe your partner's Enneagram type. But resist the urge, friends. We interact with many different people every day, and it is so important to listen to the entire book so you can learn how to best interact with everyone around you. The goal of this book is to help you understand the Enneagram, but it's so much more than that. By listening through the text, you are on a path to understanding the Enneagram and learning how to navigate your life and relationships. By learning how you and your loved ones interact in these partnerships, you are setting yourself up to have healthy and fulfilling relationships with everyone you meet. Chapter 1. An Introduction to the Enneagram. Everyone has different levels of knowledge when it comes to the Enneagram and how to best use it in their lives. Before we dive into exploring the various relationships between the types, we first need to establish some foundational information about the Enneagram. In short, the Enneagram is an ancient typing system that goes beyond just explaining someone's personality. It takes into account why and how people think, react, and behave. But it doesn't just stop there. The Enneagram can also provide transformative growth for those who are ready to live up to the potential that life has to offer them. What is the Enneagram? The conception of the Enneagram is difficult to pinpoint because it dates back thousands of years. This is what we do know. The Enneagram is rooted in psychology, spirituality, and self-observation, and has Asian and Middle Eastern roots dating back 2,000 to 4,000 years. In our modern world, the Enneagram is a model of the human psyche, dividing people into 9 different types, and going deeper than traditional personality tests to discover motivations and not just tendencies. What the Enneagram isn't. There are also several misconceptions about the Enneagram. It does a disservice to the Enneagram to group it with personality tests such as the Myers-Briggs Type Indicator, MBTI, and StrengthsFinder 2.0. Although I am a huge believer in personality tests to identify who we are, I trained in the Enneagram because it goes far beyond a simple personality test. Traditional personality tests describe who we are, whereas the Enneagram explores the why and how and the motivations behind what we do. Additionally, traditional personality tests typically leave us wanting more. Self-reflection with the Enneagram gives us the opportunity to grow through behaviors and experiences, using the Enneagram as a tool. After all, that's really what the Enneagram is. A tool to learn more about ourselves and our individual motivations and tendencies, so we can grow into the best versions of ourselves. A brief history. Even though the Enneagram has been around for thousands of years, it has ebbed and flowed in popularity. Because the Enneagram wasn't introduced to the United States until researchers brought it here in the 1960s, according to the Enneagram Institute, it took time for people to learn about and understand this typing system. As with most things, I'm sure there were also skeptics. However, psychologists persisted, and it became more popular in the 1980s. Its real popularity didn't come about until the past 10 years, largely thanks to technology. Think about how much technology has advanced since the Enneagram was first introduced in the United States. Now we have cell phones, the internet, social media, and search engines that people use to discover and learn more about the Enneagram. We have this information at our disposal, and people can post about it on social media and share it easily. The information propagated quickly, and pretty soon, everyone was trying to determine their Enneagram type. The Christian and Sufism perspective. The Enneagram Institute said that some experts can trace the Enneagram back to Sufism, whereas others identify a clear connection to Christianity, specifically related to the 7 deadly sins. It's clear that the Enneagram was rooted in religion, and many people used it to incorporate different faiths and religions into their daily practice. The modern-day Enneagram. Even though the Enneagram originates from religion, it is now widely used in the secular world as part of a path toward self-actualization, Despite a confusing and somewhat complicated start, the rediscovery of the Enneagram in the 20th century is much clearer. George Gurdjieff, originally from Russia, was first introduced to the Enneagram while he was traveling in Afghanistan in the 1920s, according to Integrative 9, an Enneagram solutions company. He compared the Enneagram to a dance because of the movement within the model and even referred to himself as a dance teacher. During the 1960s, Oscar Ichazo, who is credited with putting the modern Enneagram system together, according to the Enneagram in Business, was teaching the Enneagram at his Erica School in South America, which he founded as a place to teach his methods. Claudio Naranjo, an American psychiatrist who trained with Ichazo in Chile, first brought it back to the United States. Prominent figures in Enneagram history. Don Richard Riso and Russ Hudson, two of the most well-known Enneagram teachers and authors, were some of the first notable Enneagram researchers in the United States after they were introduced to the Enneagram in 1975. After publishing several books based on their research, they created and opened the Enneagram Institute in 1997 in New York City. Together, they developed the Riso-Hudson Enneagram Type Indicator, commonly known as the READY, one of the most popular and accurate Enneagram tests. Other popular Enneagram teachers, authors, and experts include Beatrice Chestnut, Ginger Lapide Bogda, Beth McCord, David Daniels, and Jerry Wagner. Many Enneagram teachers and authors share their own Enneagram types as a way to further connect with their readers. I encourage you to explore writings from those who share an Enneagram type with you. There is something oddly comforting about listening to others speak in a way that makes sense to your being. The structure of the Enneagram. The word Enneagram is derived from the Greek words ennea, meaning 9, and gram, meaning what is written or drawn. The Enneagram is made up of 9 personality types that are located on different points of a symbol. Though the figure seems complicated at first, all of the various shapes work together to create the Enneagram. In the bonus PDF, you'll find the structure of the Enneagram figure. The Enneagram figure. Sometimes it's easier for people to understand the way that the Enneagram functions if they draw it themselves. The Enneagram symbol is made up of 3 parts, an outer circle, a triangle, and a hexad. The circle represents the oneness of life, and the triangle represents that the symbol has 3 separate sources. Some Enneagram experts teach this differently, but I view these sources as the triads: the fear triad, anger triad, and shame triad. We will talk more about those later in this chapter. The third shape in the Enneagram symbol is the hexad, a 6-pointed figure, which represents the way we all move through life. And within this hexad are more sets of triangles. These arrows or lines are sometimes referred to as integration/disintegration arrows or stress/growth arrows. They show us where each type goes when they are experiencing stress and growth. The combination of all 3 shapes, lines, and the 9 numbers creates what we know as the powerful structure of the Enneagram. Located in the bonus PDF are sample Enneagrams. Centers of Intelligence. The Enneagram is divided into 3 sections, with 3 types in each section. We call these sections centers because they are always at the center of our biggest assets and greatest liabilities. A figure showing an Enneagram with centers is located in the bonus PDF. Types 8, 9, and 1 are in the instinctive center, meaning that the best and worst things about their personality types are due to their instinctual drives. Types 2, 3, and 4 are in the feeling center, which means that the best and worst things about their types are related to feelings. Finally, types 5, 6, and 7 are in the thinking center, which, you may have guessed it, means that the best and worst things about their types are based on their thought processes and thinking patterns. These centers are also associated with different emotions. Those who are in the instinctive center typically struggle with anger. Each type just might display it differently. People who are in the feeling center are more likely to suffer from shame. Finally, those who are in the thinking center usually identify as struggling with fear. Triads. The Enneagram types can also be grouped together as harmony triads, or groups of 3. A visual of these triads can be found in the bonus PDF as Enneagram triads. The 3 triads are the optimistic triad, the competency triad, and the intensity triad, because the Enneagram types in the triads all have these traits in common. The optimistic triad contains types 7, the enthusiast, 9, the peacemaker, and 2, the helper. These types view life in a positive way and are the most optimistic types on the Enneagram. Type 7 is the top most optimistic number on the Enneagram. The competency triad contains types 1, the reformer, 3, the achiever, and 5, the investigator. The types within this triad value being competent, as well as being seen as competent by others. Specifically, for type 1s, competency means being right, whereas for 3s it means knowing how to achieve the success they desire. For 5s, competency is equivalent to a deep understanding. The intensity triad is a combination of types 4, the individualist, 6, the loyalist, and 8, the challenger. The types in this triad are the most intense on the Enneagram, but each type demonstrates their intensity differently. For example, type 4 has more of an emotional intensity, whereas type 6's intensity stems from a worried, doubt-filled mind. Type 8's intensity is felt by others when they are in the presence of them. Wings. Another factor that can affect an individual's Enneagram type are what we call wings. Wings are the numbers directly on either side of your main Enneagram number. An Enneagram with wings can be located in the bonus PDF. This allows for characteristics of the wings to play a part in your overall personality type. For example, an Enneagram 1, the reformer, can pull qualities from an Enneagram 9, the peacemaker, and/or an Enneagram 2, the helper. Many people assume that your wing is just the type that had the second highest number when you took a test, or the type that resonates with you the most after your main type. Neither assumption is true, as the wings absolutely must be on either side of your type. You know, like wings. Another common misconception is that you absolutely must have a wing. The reality is that some people don't feel like they utilize their wings, and that's fine and totally normal. Some people also might feel like they rely on one wing more than another. It really depends on the person and the motivations behind their behaviors. Sometimes part of the self-development work of the Enneagram is learning how to incorporate the healthy qualities of your wings into your everyday life. Usually people have a more dominant wing, but being able to utilize healthy qualities of both wings allows for substantial personal growth within your Enneagram type. The 9 types. Experts use a variety of names for the 9 Enneagram types. Throughout this book, I will use the names created by authors and Enneagram experts Riso and Hudson. Type 1 is known as the reformer. They are structured, practical, and balanced. They are motivated by a desire to be good, and they see things in black and white. Type 2 is the helper. They are extremely giving of their time, energy, and resources. They are motivated by a need to be wanted and loved. Type 3 is called the achiever because of their strong need to accomplish things in life. They are goal-oriented, hard-working, and often competitive. They are motivated by a desire to be seen as valuable. Type 4 is referred to as the individualist. They are often artistic, emotional, and creative. They are motivated by a need to be seen as unique and unlike anyone else. Type 5 is known as the investigator. They are intellectual, withdrawn, and independent. They are motivated by a strong need to be seen as competent to those around them. Type 6 is the loyalist. They are committed, responsible, and anxious. These individuals are motivated by a need to feel secure in their relationships and environment. Type 7 is referred to as the enthusiast because of their ability to radiate optimism. They are spontaneous and scattered and seek adventure in all that they do. These individuals are motivated by a need to feel satisfied and content and often have the biggest fear of missing out. Type 8 is known as the challenger. They are strong, assertive, and resourceful. They are motivated by a desire to protect themselves and not be seen as weak or vulnerable. Type 9 is referred to as the peacemaker. They are calm, conflict-averse, and open-minded. They are motivated by a desire to maintain peace and wholeness in whatever they do. Why are there 9 types? The 9 types are 9 personalities and 9 ways of thinking and behaving. But why 9? The 3 core numbers for each triad, 3, 6, and 9, form the triangle within the Enneagram figure. With those numbers as the core points, each has an inner and outer focus. The feeling center/shame triad has type 3 as the core point, type 2 as the outer focus, and type 4 as the inner focus. The thinking center/fear triad has type 6 as the core point, type 5 as the outer focus, and type 7 as the inner focus. Finally, the instinctive center/anger triad has type 9 as the core point, type 8 as the outer focus, and type 1 as the inner focus. With each triad having a core point, outer focus, and inner focus, the diagram is made up of 9 types total, and that is the Enneagram. What does all of this tell us about ourselves? As we discussed, although personality tests are great at telling us who we are, the Enneagram focuses on why and how we do the things we do. It reveals our deepest and sometimes most unknown secrets about ourselves and our desires, motivations, and fears. Ultimately, the Enneagram is a tool to promote self-awareness and personal development. We can use the Enneagram as a way to learn more about ourselves and the people around us. The Enneagram can enlighten us on how we work with others, how we interact in relationships and friendships, and who we are within our family unit. Compatibility. Although some Enneagram types may be more compatible than others, anyone can be compatible with anyone else if they are living within a healthy state of their type. On the opposite side of that, any type can be incompatible if they are considered to be on the unhealthy side of their type. Some Enneagram type couplings are more common than others, but there are never types that are more compatible than others. I encourage you to strive to be the best version of yourself before trying to determine your compatibility with others. If you don't already know your type, this book doesn't offer a test for you to figure out your Enneagram type. And I would even say that taking a test isn't the best way to discover which Enneagram type resonates the most with you. My recommendation is to take a test to start, but don't end there. Spend time reflecting on your biggest fears and desires to see if any of them resonate with the different Enneagram types. I also recommend reviewing the results of the test with someone who has been trained as an Enneagram coach or expert like myself and others in the large Enneagram coaching network. The Enneagram test I recommend is the Riso-Hudson Enneagram Type Indicator, Ready. I also recommend Beth McCord's free test at yourenneagramcoach.com for a faith-based perspective to the Enneagram. The biggest temptation. It's also important that you never try to type someone yourself. Although it might seem obvious to you that someone is a certain Enneagram type, you don't always know their motivations behind what they do or how they act. You might know that one of your friends is very assertive and assume that they are an Enneagram 8. However, the motivation for their assertiveness may be that they want to be seen as valuable, 3, versus that they don't want to be seen as weak, 8. It's also important that you never try to type a child or say that they're acting like a certain Enneagram type. They need to figure out their type on their own. Otherwise, they may try to act like a certain type for approval. We also don't want to put people in a box and predict certain behaviors based on the types we assume they are. As I go through the individual types, I note some famous people of each type, which may seem contradictory to what I'm telling you here. However, the major difference is that I am trained in the Enneagram and can better speculate on someone's type based on their actions, things they have said, and how they present themselves in public. Grow into your best self. The Enneagram is an astounding way to grow into living your best life by being authentically you. Even more amazing is the way that the Enneagram transforms relationships with colleagues, friends, life partners, and family members. You'll learn more about how the Enneagram can help you and your relationships in the chapters ahead. Type 1. Chapter 2. The Reformer. Enneagram 1 is the Reformer, although this type is also known as the Perfectionist among some Enneagram experts. Reformers are concerned with knowing right from wrong and having structure in their world. It's important to remember that structure can mean different things to different people. Their personality is based on whatever is right to them. Their biggest fear is being corrupt or bad, and their biggest desire is to be good and have integrity. Reformers have many great qualities, such as efficiency, productivity, honesty, orderliness, practicality, and a strong work ethic. However, there are some negative qualities that could creep in if ones are going through a hard time or living in a state of stress. For example, ones can be judgmental, obsessive, critical of others and themselves, controlling, and high-strung. It's important to understand all of the qualities of an Enneagram 1 as we discuss various types of relationships that one can have with them. Pun definitely intended. Getting to know the reformer. A reformer is a person who makes changes to something in order to improve it. I can totally see why Riso and Hudson picked this word to describe the Enneagram 1. Ones are definitely the people who will try to improve everything around them. This includes themselves, other people, their environment, and their relationships. Sometimes this improving can get them into trouble when people didn't ask for their help in the first place. It can also affect others negatively when ones start judging those around them because their lives look different from their own. Here are some other character traits of a 1. Principled, perfectionist, impatient, wise, realistic, competent, rule follower, ambitious, practical, independent. Common mistypes. Some people may think that they are an Enneagram 1 if they tend to be more organized and concerned about following rules. However, many people enjoy following rules, at least I hope, but aren't necessarily ones. People also tend to think they are ones because they are extreme planners. Although these stereotypes do fit an Enneagram 1, they are not the only types who have these characteristics. Some common mistypes for an Enneagram 1 are Enneagram 6, 8, and 3. Types 1 and 6 seem similar because they are both extremely loyal and both experience worry at times. However, one key difference is that 6s aren't big risk takers, whereas 1s are willing to take risks to make the world a better place. Similarly, 1s and 8s are often mistyped because they both feel like it's up to them to create change in the world. 8s struggle with vulnerability, whereas 1s are quick to be vulnerable with those who are closest to them. 1s and 3s are similar because they are both driven by achievement. The biggest difference is that 3s are more concerned about image, whereas 1s are mostly concerned with simply doing what is right. Childhood. When exploring the way different people interact, it can sometimes be helpful to look back on who they were and how they behaved as a child. Reformers as children can often be identified by the amount of time they spend criticizing themselves if they aren't perfect. They try to achieve perfection in projects.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?